His stories just kind of hint at a deeper existence, like a deeper dimension to reality, but it's never fully seen. It's only ever glimpsed. And I think that's kind of what George R. R. Martin has always done in A Song of Ice and Fire, as far as like the magic. How's it going, guys? This is Ideas of Ice and Fire, and welcome to my live stream. Well, the title of this stream is, and by the way, everyone always asks what song that is. That song is "The Long Road Ahead" by Kevin MacLeod, and a lot of his songs are up on YouTube Creator Studio. So yeah, and it's a royalty-free song, so that's that song. All right, time to start this stream. So obviously, A Song of Ice and Fire is a series with a lot of mystery. Basically the first book is a mystery novel. Like the entire book is like the mystery of like what's going on with John Aaron. It's who killed John Aaron. That's the whole thing. But today I want to talk about some of the larger mysteries, some of the lore mysteries. And I wanted to start with the doom of Valyria. And I wanted to talk about, kind of some ideas of what caused the doom of Valyria. And, what I think might still be in Valyria. So that'll be the first mystery that we will discuss. But first, I gotta talk about my Patreon for a little bit. I did put up some new content. I talk about H.P. Lovecraft and his influence on George R. R. Martin. There is a video up that's brand new. You can totally just, you pledge $1 and then you get all that exclusive content, which I put up twice a month. So I'm posting twice a month. And right now we've got tons of content. We've got the videos that were already up, and I just put this H.P. Lovecraft, George R. R. Martin video up, which I think is pretty good too. So, to start with this Valyria thing, I think if we want to speculate about what happened, really understand where all the mystery comes from, we have to kind of try and figure out what exactly happened during the doom. What was the doom? And I've got a page from the World of Ice and Fire pulled up here, and it describes the doom of Valyria, and I'm going to read that for you guys. To this day, no one knows what caused the doom. Most say it was a natural cataclysm, a catastrophic explosion caused by the eruption of all 14 flames together. If you don't know, in Valyria there were volcanoes called the 14 Fires, and this is actually where they found the dragons in the first place. Someone said there's an echo. No one else has said that, so I'm hoping that there's not an echo. Guess I just have to hope. Alright. Some septons, less wise, claim that the Valyrians brought the disaster on themselves for their promiscuous belief in a hundred gods and more, and in their godlessness they delved too deep and unleashed the fires of the seven hells on the freehold. Basically, it's saying here that the 14 fires erupted and, went all over the place. So these volcanoes on Valyria erupted and, went all over the place, killing everyone. And some say that it was because of the godlessness of the Valyrian people. Alright? A handful of maesters, influenced by fragments of the work of Septon Barth, hold that Valyria had used spells to tame the 14 flames for thousands of years, that their ceaseless hunger for slaves and wealth was as much to sustain these spells as to expand their power, and that when at last those spells faltered, the cataclysm became inevitable. So it's saying here that, back in the time of Valyria, the 14 fires were being mined, right? There were all these crazy gemstones in there. So they were mining the 14 flames using slaves. And also, the mages of Valyria were using magic to, kind of keep the volcanoes in check. So right here, what I see is mankind trying to control nature once again, and you just can't do that. When mankind tries to control nature, it always goes wrong, and that's probably what happened to Valyria. It was probably, they took the dragons, they tried to tame the dragons, but you can't tame a dragon. That's the thing. A dragon's not a slave. They thought they did. It's also like how in the book we see Daenerys, she's never really able to tame the dragons either. So it's like, with Valyrians, it was definitely like they're playing with nature. They're fiddling with, these higher powers that no one can really control. The cataclysm became inevitable. Of these, some argue that it was the curse of Garin the Great at last coming to fruition. Others speak of the priest of R'hllor calling down the fire of their god in queer rituals. Okay, so some people think it was the curse of Garin the Great. Some people think that it was Red Priest that, called down fire from the sky and did this to Valyria. Some, wedding the fanciful notion of Valyrian magic to the reality of the ambitious great houses of Valyria, have argued that it was the constant whirl of conflict and deception amongst the great houses that might have led to the assassinations of too many of the reputed mages who renewed and maintained the rituals that make the 14 flames. See, that's another line, right? See, a lot of this to me is pointing to mages were maintaining the 14 fires, and then something happened and they were no longer able to. Like their spells for some reason got broken, and they all died as a result. It broke. It's like if a nuclear factory, exploded, it's like that. If one thing goes wrong, and it's just kaboom. Very, very interesting. So let's continue. The one thing that can be said for certain is that it was a cataclysm such as the world had never seen. The ancient mighty freehold, home to dragons and sorcerers of unrivaled skill, was shattered and destroyed within hours. It was written that every hill for 500 miles split asunder to fill the air with ash and smoke, and fire so hot and hungry that even the dragons in the sky were engulfed and consumed. See, this tells me here that it wasn't an accident. This is not something that, I'm not going to say for sure that it wasn't an accident. It wasn't a natural disaster. I don't believe that the people that lived in Valyria would not have been able to detect this. We're talking about mages and sorcerers. They got this power from who knows where. We're not going to get into where they got their power from, but, mages and sorcerers, and none of them were able to detect that, the volcanoes are unstable and they're gonna erupt. Because there are always signs when a volcano is gonna erupt, or when we've got some weird activity. There's always like some weird signs going on. So it's interesting that they weren't able to detect it. That leads me to believe that it was something that it was man-made. This was caused by people in Valyria, and we there's several ideas about how that could have happened as well, which we will get into. Okay. It was written that every hill for 500 miles split asunder to fill the air with ash and smoke, and fire so hot and hungry that even the dragons in the sky were engulfed and consumed. Great rents opened in the earth, swallowing palaces, temples, entire towns. Lakes boiled or turned to acid, mountains burst, fiery fountains spewed molten rock 1,000 feet into the air, and red clouds rained down dragon glass and the black blood of demons. To the north, the ground splintered and collapsed and fell on itself, and an angry sea came boiling in. The proudest city in all the world was gone in an instant. The fabled empire vanished in a day. The lands of the long summer, once the most fertile in all the world, were scorched and drowned and blighted, and the toll in blood would not be fully realized for a century to come. So yeah, everyone is like slaughtered. And actually, if you read A Dance with Dragons, it wasn't just Valyria. There were islands, like there's this one place that, when the 14 fires erupt all over the place, it creates this giant, tsunami, and it like takes out this entire one place, except for like, the people that were way up on the hill. They saw it happening. Can you imagine, like, just, being in your castle or whatever up on the hill, and then you look down and you just see a big tsunami just take out, the entire city below you, just take out everything. It's nuts. It's nuts. So this was some crazy stuff, and this was not a natural disaster. This was the result, in my opinion, this was the result of the Valyrians fiddling around with weird powers that they did not understand fully, and it went wrong. It went sour. This is what happens when you fiddle around with weird powers that you don't understand. And then it goes on to talk about the power vacuum and the chaos. Let's go ahead and read what George R. R. Martin has written here. In the wake of all the conflicts and struggles that continue to this day over the disputed lands, the plague of the free companies was born and took root. At first, these bands of sellswords merely fought whoever paid them. Oh, it's just about the free company. So here is an interesting piece of art of a dragon in the Valyrian sky during the doom being taken out. So, what caused the doom? I've already given the idea that that could have been the mages that faltered, but we can bring in the faceless men and talk about them a little bit here as well, because we remember the story of where the first faceless men came from and the gift. So the story goes that the first faceless man was in the mines of Valyria, and he gave the gift of death to the slaves. He gave it to everyone, and that was the beginning of it. So maybe this person or someone, or the person that this story is based off, and I think this story is in Feast or Dance, is in either one, I don't remember, but I think that what the story is based on is someone that led a revolt in the mines of Valyria, and it set off a chain reaction, and they ended up, because we know they were in these mines, like the slaves were in the mines, and they're like chipping at stuff, and you could chip at the wall, and it's like molten under there, and you just get your whole face burned off. So maybe they did something, they caused a chain reaction within the volcanoes, and it just set off a huge explosion. Or maybe it was a more orchestrated thing amongst the slaves that could have been some way led by the first faceless men. Which, and we know that the faceless men wouldn't have had all the powers that they have today, because now, we talk about, this is where it started, but we don't know where they got the ability to change their faces and all that. So so I would imagine that the power was limited back then. So so what I'm thinking happened is slave revolt. They, maybe the slaves perhaps knew where the most vulnerable places were, and they hit it right in the right place, and it led a chain reaction, and the people weren't able to maintain it, because I figure that the slaves would have said, we'd rather die, take Valyria down with us then, work in these mines for another day. So they orchestrate this thing. They say, you tap here, I'll tap here, I'll tap there. They get it done. The 14 fires erupt and they consume the Valyrians, which, they would have deserved. Yeah, well, yeah, that would... John, you says the Faceless Men would just need to kill the sorcerers who kept the 14 flames calm. Yeah, that would assume that, the sorcerer thing is true. And so, yeah, another way this story could go is, yeah, they totally just go and, find the sorcerers, kill them, and just kill enough of them so that, the spell is no longer maintained, and the fires erupt all over the place. And, I also would take into consideration another idea that I have about what caused the doom. And this, of course, ties back into my grand game theory. The Valyrians were given this knowledge of how to tame dragons and how to duel this magic from people from the shadow. So I would assume that a deal was made, that some kind of agreement was made. We'll give you this knowledge in exchange for this. All right? And I'm pretty certain that the people from the shadow also worship the being that lives at Stegai. So the people of Valyria would have been making a deal with whatever entity lived at Ashai. Not Ashai, but at Stegai in the Heart of Darkness. They would have made a deal with this entity. And the doom of Valyria could be the result of a deal faltering. They didn't give him what he wanted. They didn't pay his price in blood, or whatever it was. And then, this being caused the 14 fires to erupt. And a lot of people watching my videos have speculated that maybe this being at the Heart of Darkness is actually R'hllor, which is interesting. Because I'm pretty sure that I made that connection in one of my videos, because we talk about Stegai and how that is where Cthulhu lives. Well, no. The Corpse City. Stegai is also called the Corpse City, and the Corpse City is another name for R'hllor, which is where Cthulhu lives. So, and Cthulhu also has a rival whose name is not to be spoken. So he's in like this eternal conflict with this rival, whose name is not to be uttered. He's like the other, So he's like the great other. So it was kind of like, you'd have R'hllor in this god of fire that lives in the Heart of Darkness. And then you'd have the great other, this god of ice, which lived in the land with the Heart of Winter, which is in the far north. Bran looks deep into the Heart of Winter. And then you've got the Heart of Darkness, the Heart of Fire. And, the reason that it's dark is because the hills are covered with ash. Like the ash blows in. And, we also have Melisandre in the book saying that shadows are creatures of the light. So it would make sense why this place is called the Shadow, because shadows are creatures of the light, aka R'hllor. And, that would also explain Quaithe coming out of the shadow wanting to birth dragons. So to me, it all kind of points to, the entity that people are calling R'hllor actually lives in the shadow. And it is what gave the Valyrians the power to tame dragons. It gave them all this. They did something wrong. They pissed it off. They didn't fulfill its quota in blood. It destroyed them. Or maybe they were destroyed by something else. Maybe this is a part of the game. Because, it's kind of like saying that it destroyed them is kind of like tying this into my grand game theory. If I said this creature destroyed them, it would be kind of like destroying your own pieces. So it would kind of make more sense if it had something to do with the Great Other, right? So if the Great Other is, reaching out to people's minds as well, he wouldn't want, this freehold that's, conquering the world with fire, with dragons. He wouldn't want that. So he could reach out to people's minds, manipulate them, and, cause a revolt within the slave thing. So it's all a very subtle game, because this is how these Lovecraftian deities tend to work. They work through suggestion and affecting the minds of people very subtly. And they both have, minions on Earth too. So the Great Other, he would have used the children. He would have used the White Walkers, and then you've got R'hllor, who's using the priesthood, who's using the people from the shadow. They both have their worshippers. And we know that, a god of ice is worshipped in the far north. A god of ice is definitely worshipped by the wildlings there. So there's a lot of hints to that's what's going on. I'll take some questions from the chat now. Do you think we will find out more about the drowned god in the Winds of Winter or Drum of Spring? The religion of the Ironborn is so creepy and fascinating to me. Well, if the damn hair is still alive after the Forsaken, then probably. And, Euron does say that whole bit about feeling the kiss of the sea. And I think that the Kraken face is definitely related that we see with Euron. So I think he still has at least some sort of... He's doing something that could have something to do with the drowned god. I think in a lot of ways Euron might even see himself as the drowned god, because he does say that at one point. He says, I am the drowned god. You should worship me. So I'm hoping so, and I do think we will. By probably the Winds of Winter. Yeah. And it also said in the World of Ice and Fire that the Valyrians worshipped multiple gods. Many, many, many gods. And if you go by this Lovecraftian theory for the gods, then, there would be many, many gods. And, maybe these gods then get along. And maybe that is, in a way, what caused the doom. See, there are a lot of different ideas, and we can only really speculate on the doom of Valyria, but I think it's one of the more interesting bits. Will we ever see Yeti in A Song of Ice and Fire? I'm not counting on it. If Daenerys goes east, maybe she'd have to go north first. She'd have to go north to get to Yeti, but maybe. Well, I'm not counting on it. Definitely not counting on it. All right. Okay. And modern day Valyria. So modern day Valyria is kind of like a Bermuda Triangle at this point. And we're not talking about the show. I know that in the show people can just sail a boat right through Valyria. But in the book, modern day Valyria is, it's not something that you can even get close to, because the seas are always stormy. It's not a good place to be. And it's cursed. So people know, like, this is not the place to go. It's cursed. And, one of the Lannisters, I believe it may have been one of Tywin's brothers. It's either Tywin's brother or Tywin's uncle, but I'm pretty sure it's Tywin's brother, Tyrion's uncle. He sailed off with the Lannister sword, the Lannister Valyrian sword, and lost it in Old Valyria. He also lost himself. He never came back. It's something like that. I might be butchering the story a little bit, but it was something like he had the Lannister sword, which was called something Bright Roar. Let me look it up. I'm I'm losing some credibility here. Bright Roar, I got it right. So it was called Bright Roar. And yeah, he went off with the sword and he lost it. And he lost himself. So that, and that's the thing. No one knows what's in Valyria. It's a great mystery. And so why? Why is Valyria like this? Why is it's stormy? Because volcanoes erupting. Why would that make it stormy? That doesn't make any sense. It's almost as if it is cursed. And I think Valyria is cursed. I think that, I think that it's cursed in the sense that that it's under the influence of outside deities. You know what I'm saying? That are keeping people out. And I believe that Euron figured this out. He sailed to Valyria. He made a pact with this deity. And that's how he survived. That's how he was able to enter that place. And it's possible even that, this being, whatever it is, saw Euron and it reached out to him, and it was like, he's the perfect vessel to get what I need done. So Euron, Blood Eye, in the dream, he shows the world his Blood Eye, and it's like the most terrible thing that anyone's ever seen. And I think it's a piece of the Red Comet, and I think the creature is looking out of it, and he's using the eye to spy on them. So that's what I think is going on with Euron and the Valyria thing. I know there very well could be people that still live on Valyria. Like, I don't doubt it. I feel like there could be people that worship something. People that still worship the old gods of Valyria. Maybe I could definitely see there being some little weird culture, civilization that has crept up on Valyria. And they probably have records. They've probably been there longer than anyone has ever suspected. They probably have records of what happened to Valyria. They probably know, you know, because Valyria gets destroyed, whatever, and then, you know, they've got to be some ambitious people that actually make it to Valyria and then survive in Valyria. Let's actually look at a picture of Valyria and let's figure out where it is on the map. Let's figure out exactly where Valyria is. Yeah, look at this. There are people in Valyria. Look at it on the map. Like, the people probably walked down. People probably live here. People probably live in Oros, whatever that is. You know, that's the Smoking Sea where Valyria used to be. Yeah, people probably live on these islands. That island, yeah. I'm sure there are. I'm sure there are. You know, because people can't stay away from the mystique. So even if it was just about that, I'm sure there are people that still live there. You know, they're probably like super tribalistic and weird, strange people. But I know there are people that live there. I would bet money. I'd bet money that there are people that live in Valyria. I know it. I freaking know it. Oh, some cool art going on. Some cool Valyrian art. This is Valyria in the fucking show. And that fucking dumbass fucking scene. I get it, they wanted to show Valyria, but it ruins Valyria. The fact that they showed Valyria in the show and them just peacefully sailing through Valyria on a little boat, it pisses me off so bad, but whatever. Theon knows about Euron's eye before the comet. See, that's the thing. Euron could have had another... Well, he did. He had another eye, a regular glass eye before the comet. After the comet is when he sails to Valyria and gets a new eye. You know, he gets a new eye. And that's the eye that has a piece of the comet in it. Who do you think the Faceless Men really serve? The Faceless Men serve death and money. That's what I think. You know, I don't feel like a lot of time. I get that they're like a super cool organization, but I don't know if they necessarily have as much integrity as we all think. You know, I mean, because clearly they kill people for money. It's not about serving a god. It's you're killing somebody for money. Yeah. No. So I do have a few Patreon questions that I should answer. And by the way, got some new stuff on my Patreon. Got some Lovecraft stuff, where I'm talking about Lovecraft and George R. Martin's influence. Lovecraft's influence on George R. Martin, because there is quite a bit. Okay. Connor Duro says, what will happen to your channel once Game of Thrones is over? Ha! Game of Thrones over? Didn't you hear? There's like a million spin-offs coming. It's never ending. And anyways, I've got plenty of stuff. I mean, the Winds of Winter is like years of content to talk about on this channel by itself. And then there's tons of lore. And then, you know, the spin-off shows. And then I've got Dune. And then there's plenty of stuff to talk about that people would be fine. And I've got tons of new subscribers that love it. That just want more it content. So, you know, we got lots of that. If you're ever in Macon, Georgia, well, Philip of House Harris says this. If you're ever in Macon, Georgia, drinks on me. Book or show, why is Arya walking around like she can't be killed by the Faceless Men? Well, I think in the book, Arya is not... I think she does fear the Faceless Men. I think she does, but I don't think she really understands how much she should fear them, because she is very young in the book. She's younger than show Arya. But in the show, it's like Arya, by that point, she fully understands that the Faceless Men can kill her. And yeah, it's just bad writing. If the Way followed orders, it would be all over for her. Who's stronger, Mokoro or Melisandre? Stronger. I think Mokoro seems to be better at prophecy. But Melisandre has had more difficult prophecies to interpret, I guess. I would say Melisandre, to me, has so far demonstrated more power. So I would say Melisandre. I haven't seen Makoro do any shadow monster baby things. So. Shri Yansh. I'm sorry about your name. Shri Yance Jane. Oh God, I can't pronounce your name. He says, thanks for always delivering quality videos. I've asked this before in past streams, but I want to hear your extended thoughts of where this theory could potentially go. What do you think about the role of ice dragons in the general world of Ice and Fire, based on the myths and legends in the cities? In the world of Ice and Fire, it seems as though a serpent breathing ice rather than fire near the Shivering Sea prior to it being something that the Night King just recently attained. The Night King also seemed to know what dragons were when Danny flew them beyond the wall. They were unfazed and fully ready, and whether you blame his knowledge of dragons to his hypothetical Greenseer abilities or just how old he is and pure age, it just adds more credibility to the fact that these weren't just myths, but more so reality. Additionally, with all the emphasis of the Ice Dragon constellation within the books, as well as the Game of Thrones Telltale game Ice Dragon, which has to do with the mythical North Grove, it just adds way more credibility. Could it be that an ice dragon played a role in a previous long night? Could a rogue ice dragon still be roaming somewhere in the Shivering Sea? Could the ice dragon be the key to the pact? The last two might be crackpot theories, but based on your theories on the fact that the Five Forts were similar to the Wall, could an ice dragon have played a role in both long nights? Whew, that was a long one. As far as the Ice Dragon, I don't know if the Ice Dragon is going to play a role in the book. I do point to the world of Ice and Fire, that image where you see Daenerys' dragons and versus another dragon, so I am definitely open to the idea of another dragon coming into play. The world of Ice and Fire does mention ice dragons in the Shivering Sea. And, you know, what we see in the show, I don't know if that is necessarily an ice dragon. I think, like I said, my idea was that the blast was concussive. It was pure force. There was no fire going on. And as far as the Ice Dragon and the general Song of Ice and Fire thing, I think it's back lore. I don't think it's something that's going to necessarily come straight to the front. It's back to lore. And it's cool because they are real. Or at least they seem to be. Because they're mentioned, like I said, in the World of Ice and Fire, where there's talk about them being in the Shivering Sea and all that. But yeah. I think I answered your question to the best of my ability. Yeah, and the Night King knows about dragons. I think it's probably just age, because the Night King in the show seems to be is thousands of years old, and you know he's been around since, you know, those children first. When we get the flashback, it was supposedly during the time of the war between the children and the First Men, which was like 8,000 years ago, 10,000 years ago, something. It's thousands. So he's thousands of years old. He knows about dragons. So yeah. And Karan Desai asks, "What's your favorite ice cream?" Vanilla. Vanilla is my favorite ice cream, and vanilla is a flavor. You know, people that say vanilla is not a flavor are fucking stupid, and you don't know what you're talking about. You know, you've been conditioned by society to think of vanilla as bland. So, yeah. Do you know a theory that is rather far-fetched that you would like to be true? It would add the most depth to the universe. Well, the theory that I want to be true is well, this is not even a theory. This is just what I want to happen. Yeah. Well, I don't necessarily want this to happen, but I think it'd be cool if, like I've said this before, I want Cersei and now I want Daenerys and Jon Snow to croak over and die, and I want Cersei to be the one to fight the White Walkers, and I want her to succeed. And then Cersei be, you know, a tough queen, a hard queen, but a good queen. Yeah, I feel like that'd be cool as shit. And it could totally happen. Like where the show is right now, like it could happen. Like Cersei's still in she was basically like, fuck y'all go north. What if they fucking die and then she has to fucking face the others, and she fucking faces them. And what if Cersei is even like, you know what, I can just, what if she takes her own advice and she doesn't use the weapon of tears, and she uses the weapon between her legs, and she becomes the Night Queen, and then Cersei just rules with the Night King and just darkness over the land for 1,000 years. Cool as shit. I'd like that. That'd be cool. That'd be cool. All right. Okay. Are D&D going to have anything to do with the prequel shows? Well, it's been confirmed that they don't want anything to do with it. They don't want nothing to do with that. They're done with Game of Thrones. They're moving on to their Confederate show. I've heard some things about this Confederate show, but that's what they're doing, and they have nothing to do with the prequels. I want Cersei to live and be the Queen of Darkness. I need Cersei to be the Queen of Darkness. I wonder if there are any interesting Cersei Night Queen art. I bet there is. Oh yeah. Well, not Daenerys. I don't want Daenerys Night Queen. I want Cersei. Yeah, here we go. Cersei the Night Queen. Yes. Cause it'd be perfect. It'd be perfect, right? I'd love it. I like Cersei. What's going on here? This is rather odd. God, the things people do. Looks like I've got a super chat. Thank you so much, Jacob Childers. Would you consider a fan art submissions from your subscribers to put in your videos? I'm currently working on a couple of book depictions featuring Dune and A Song of Ice and Fire. If you have fan art that you want to send me, that's definitely fine. Send it to my Facebook or my Twitter, and it'll totally work. And thank you so much for your super chat. And if I really like it, and it matches the typical stuff that I usually put up, then I'll totally put up your art, and I'll totally credit you in the description and everything. So yeah. Yeah, but this though. Okay. So, and also another thing that I wanted to talk about were another mystery. The Crypts of Winterfell. All right. So what's up with these crypts? Where do they lead? Why does no one know? Like, cause they're like, we read these books and we're just like, no one knows how far these crypts go. They just lead out into dark. And you think, why would they build them so deep? Well, I think they lead somewhere. I think the Crypts of Winterfell lead, and this might be far-fetched, I think they lead all the way through Gandalf's tunnels, underneath the wall, deeper and deeper, further and further north, all the way up to Bloodraven's tree. That's where I think the crypts go. I think it goes all the way to Bloodraven's tree, because the children even say, we don't know how far these caves go. I think the crypts lead into the caves. It's very, very far. It'd be a very far walk, but this is what I think is happening. Winterfell is the oldest castle in Westeros. The children, they made there had to be the reason that weirwood trees are in every major castle in the north is because of a pact between the children and men. That was part of the pact. Don't cut down weirwood trees. Put a weirwood tree here so we can fucking watch you. And I think that the children, they built a passage. Well, there's a theory that all the weirwoods are connected, but I think the children built a passage so that they ever needed to get into. If they ever needed to, return to the realms of men, they could. If they knew the way. You have to know the way. That's the thing. Like, you could get lost. Yeah, it probably is hundreds of miles. It probably is. But for the children of the forest, with eyes that are perfectly evolved to see in the darkness, they could see. They could totally see. It's for the children. It's not for men, it's for the children. Men would never go that deep into the darkness. But the children live underground. They live in a cave. They've got slitted eyes. Slitted eyes are specifically for the purpose of being able to see better in the dark. That's the whole point of slitted eyes. So they use this. It's a tunnel. It's a passageway. through the wall, underneath the wall. Yeah. So that's what I think is in the crypts. A lot of people also say that somewhere in the crypts is... I've heard that Dawn is in the crypts. I've heard that Rhaegar's harp is in Lyanna's tomb in the crypts. And then I'd wonder, but, you know, how would we figure this out? Like, would someone just be like, oh, it's in the crypt, and you smash open your own mother's tomb because of this fucking harp? No thanks. And, you know, some people think that Lightbringer is in the crypts. But I think it's about the tunnels. I think it's about the tunnels and where they go. It's all about the tunnels. You know, there's a reason that Jon Snow's having dreams about him too. So that also leads me to believe, you know, there's something in there for Jon Snow. Special information for him. You know. So we know it suggested that Ramsay had Theon kill his own child. But do you think it's possible Theon impregnated that one girl on the way to Pike? Now there's a little Theon running around. Well, anything's possible. You know, Theon could have any number of bastards. Wasn't he fond of whores? I'm pretty sure he was before the operation. He was fond of, you know, he was fond of whoring, so he could have tons of children. You know, Tyrion's probably got a shit ton of little babies running around. You know, back in these days, you know, like the woman gets pregnant, how is she supposed to know who's father? I mean, if you're a sex worker and you get pregnant and you weren't using the moon tea or whatever, it could be anybody's baby. You don't freaking know. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of mystery going on in the crypts of Winterfell. And I know there are a lot of theories. There's a lot of people have all sorts of ideas about what's down there. But me, it's definitely about those tunnels and where they lead. And you know, it's very interesting. It's very great. All right. So I'm gonna look at the chat now. You guys tell me what are some of your favorite mysteries in Song of Ice and Fire, because there are a shit ton. You know, I like the Summerhall one, which I did talk about on the last stream. I think I've pretty much solved that mystery. I think it was the combination of Bloodraven and Quaithe affecting Aegon V's mind, and he became obsessed with dragons because of that, and it went wrong, and you know, wildfire, and you know, it went up in flames, and that's also what happened to Aerys. So that's that mystery. What's up, LML? How's it going? The only thing that really bothers me is that we still don't know what the White Walkers' motives are. I have talked about this before, the motive of the others, in other streams. And I think it has to do with, you know, what a lot of the themes in this story have to do with. You know, it's the consequences of breaking a pact. It's the consequences of going back on your word. And I think that's what happened. I think that over these thousands of years, men forgot something, because that's constantly said. You know, men forget, only the trees remember. Only the trees remember. I think men have forgotten something. Men did something wrong. They encroached upon the land of the White Walkers. They didn't do something that they said they were going to do. And the White Walkers remembered, and now they've come back. I think in the beginning, the White Walkers could have just simply been, you know, maybe even explorers. Because we don't know. Why did the Andals and the First Men come to Westeros? They were exploring. Maybe the others were exploring the first time. And it was just that clash of species. You know, it could have been that initial clash, but everyone knows my ideas, which is that, you know, it was the children that created the others. But, you know, it could have been that clash of species. That would still fit. No, it could have been that. And, you know, and then nowadays, after a pact was made, after an agreement was made, we have no idea. Men could have done anything to, you know, piss off the others, or to like shit all over this agreement. You know, I ultimately think it has to do with a pact being broken, and that's where it comes from. Where are the missing Valyrian steel swords? All over the place. Lost. Dark Sister is probably with Bloodraven. Others suggest it is Longclaw, which I think is silly. Huh, people think that Dark Sister is Longclaw. I haven't heard that one. White Walkers are a race supremacist. and consider anyone else inferior beings magical Nazis. That's very interesting because look at what they're doing. They're taking all these people and they're making everyone the same. Everyone's kind of just brainless walking around. So it kind of fits, to be honest. What's your best take on the five forts? Well, I've done a video on the five forts. And, that was also my video where I suggested that, the east and west were connected by an ice bridge. And that in the winter it would freeze over and then the others could cross. And that, initially they crossed in both directions. They invaded both sides of the world. And that could have been a reason why the legends are all over the world, not just in Westeros. But why now? Why at this very moment that they decided to return? Does the Night King, in fact, be a green seer? I think it could have something to do with the length of the winter. It's been a really long summer, the longest summer in living memory, and I think a new winter is coming. And we don't know exactly when, it was breached. It could have been breached a few hundred years ago. This could even have something to do with the Doom of Valyria. We don't know, because the White Walkers seem to be very patient. They've obviously been active for several decades. Craster has been sacrificing his sons, so they've been active for several decades, taking his sons. So they've been planning for a while now. So why now? Why, maybe now is the best opportunity. Westeros is in... There's like a huge war that's going on, and then winter is coming. It's the best time. It's the best time. It's those naughty green seers messing with the moon. Does the world of ice and fire confirm what ghost grass is? I always thought from the description Jorah gives that it's actually snow. Ghost grass is grass. It's like light grass. Let's see if we can find some pictures of ghost grass. It's not actually snow. I'm pretty sure it's not snow. This could be a depiction of ghost grass. I think, yeah, Daenerys is in the Dothraki clothes, so that should be ghost grass. I think it's just tall, dry grass. I don't think it's tall, dry weeds that eat all other plants and stuff. Like weeds. Maybe the Night King wants Cersei. That's his ultimate goal. I would love that. He was like, I needed someone almost as evil as me. Ghostgrass is sort of a metaphor for the others that are consuming the world. That's true. That's true. But do we know if they're actually consuming the world? Maybe they're just consuming mankind. Maybe the world will be fine. I don't know. They do kill horses too, so either way, the world can be destroyed by either fire or ice. The Valyrians, were they good for the world? I don't think so. All that suffering, and it ultimately ended in just death, untold amounts of death. And that's the price of conquering. Too much of anything is bad. And like ultimately, like I always say, it's about the balance of ice and fire. It's about the balance of consumption and preservation, light and dark, summer and winter. Because you do get the sense from the fact that their seasons are the way they are. And I do think that it was something to do with the others that affected the seasons. I do think it was something, some of this, whatever magic, whatever power these children were fiddling around with, it threw out the balance. And you do get the sense that something is off balance with this world. And, the seasons are a big hint, I think. There's something not quite right. And it has to be restored. It has to be restored. And until it's restored, you're going to keep having these same cycles repeat over and over and over again. Ice versus fire, and just death and death and death on a great big wheel. Gotta break the wheel. I don't mean to steal Daenerys' line, but seriously, the wheel has to be broken, and balance must be formed, whatever. With the similarities of Bran and Arya's training at the cave and the House of Black and White, do you think the Faceless Man and the children could be connected, maybe breaking the arm and Doom? I don't think so. I think it's just one of those parallels that we see in the books over and over again. And that happens. Like, if you look at Book 2, there's a lot of parallels. You've got Arya, I believe, walking through the Riverlands, and everything's abandoned. You've got Jon Snow walking through the North, and everything's abandoned. You know, everyone's like he's like, because the wildlings have left, and you know the Riverlands are being abandoned because of the war. So you got that, and you've got Daenerys in book 2 also. She finds an abandoned castle. Like all these happen. Like these chapters are back to back. So George R. Martin likes to play on those parallels and make things like, you know, draw parallels between the characters, like they're going through similar things. But I don't think it's necessarily connected because of that. What if the only way for the wheel to really be broken is for the Night King to win? Well, then so be it. Maybe that will restore the balance, and ice will rule the world for, you know, 400 years or something, and then the wheel will be broken again. I don't know. I don't know. Because we don't know. Maybe long ago the Children of the Forest took Westeros from the White Walkers. Maybe the Children of the Forest stole this land from the White Walkers. What if Westeros used to be just like a giant frozen continent, and the children came from wherever and took this land from the others? That'd be interesting, wouldn't it? Yeah, because I don't think for a second that the others are the ultimate evil. I don't think they're just like, oh, I'm so evil. It's all about there's more to their nature than just, oh, we want to kill. Like I said, George R. Martin always criticizes that type of thing. He's always like, you know, I don't like it when we've got these one-dimensional, you know, bad guys. It just doesn't. It's just not good. What do they want? What do you want? What do you want with us? Sam, I was hoping that we would see this, the Ice Spider, at the end of, you know, at the end of the last season, but we didn't. I was like, yeah, give me the ice spider. This is just one time. Just give me some ice spiders crawling up the wall. Or just anything. But we're not going to get it, it looks like. If you've been enjoying the stream so far, make sure you throw me a like. And that would be greatly appreciated. Likes really help out in these times of great struggle. Winter is here, guys. Well, winter's not here. It's fall, but it's still hot in Georgia. It's very hot where I live. And, you know, I almost envy Jon Snow in the north because it's very hot. And, you know, the thing is, global warming, people. It's real. Holy shit. It's so hot. It's so hot. Like, I can never remember, like, in autumn being this hot. And it's ridiculous. Which was the dumbest death? Benjen, Barristan, Selmy, or Littlefinger? I would say that Barristan Selmy is probably takes the cake from me. Barristan Selmy definitely takes the cake from me. Ice spiders are extinct. Didn't you read A Dance with Dragons? Lots of shit is supposed to be extinct. Dragons were supposed to be extinct as well. You know, lots of stuff is quote unquote extinct. But we know how it is. It's never really extinct. You know, it's always hidden. The others supposedly never existed. They weren't gone. They're just hidden. Hidden. Yeah, don't you? I would love to see. We got the polar bear, so maybe we might get ice spiders. Am I discussing show stuff? Well, I kind of veered off into ice spiders and said it should be in the show, but I wasn't necessarily discussing show stuff. Yeah. What do you think is the difference between Dragonbinder and the Horn of Joramun, the Horn of Winter? Well, the Horn of Joramun was created by the Children of the Forest. It was their magic that created it, and the horn of the Dragonbinder. The Dragonbinder was created from the horn of a dragon. It's like literally the horn of a dragon. It's like hollowed out, and it was made by the Valyrians, and it's got some weird magic that allows. We don't even know exactly what the Valyrians initially created it for. Maybe it was given to the Valyrians by the people out of the shadow. Maybe that was what they brought them, and they said, here, take this, blow this horn, we'll bind it to Valyrian blood so that only you could ever blow it. Because I think that's what's going on with it. You need someone with Valyrian blood to blow it, or else you will cook from the inside out. And maybe this will go in a completely different direction than we think. Maybe Daenerys will take the Dragonbinder herself, and then she will bind her own dragons to her will, which I think will be interesting as well. Do you think the Golden Company will break their contract with Cersei if the money works? It depends on if the money comes into play. And we're talking about the book, right? Or the show? Because, like, they were talking about the show. I don't know. Well, if you're talking about the show, I don't know. I'd have to see what the Golden Company is all about in the show. I don't know how they're going to do them. But they are sellswords, so if something happens and they don't see a possibility of winning, they could easily break their contract. Very easily. Yeah, exactly. If all this extinct stuff is still around, should we just dismiss every other extinct and fairy tale thing as nonsense? Well, I don't think you have to necessarily dismiss anything. I mean, you should consider the possibility of what could exist and what, because they don't really know. Like nowadays, when something is extinct, we have a pretty good idea that it's extinct because we've dominated the planet. But in Westeros, they don't really know for sure. Like it's not like everyone can just travel and see where all this stuff is. So they assume that these things are extinct. But I think there's always a possibility that something that is being said to be extinct is actually still alive. And, that happens in real life. Sometimes things that are extinct turn out to be actually not extinct. Quentin's death was so horrible. Why did they try to steal a dragon? Well, you see, Quentin, he wanted to impress his father so bad, and on top of that, he just thought that he could handle. He saw what Daenerys did, and he thought that he could do it. He thought he had the confidence. He just had confidence that just was misplaced confidence that he just should not have done, and it was. He made a mistake. And he paid the ultimate price for it. And I do feel bad for him, thinking that he could steal a dragon because of Daenerys. And to be honest, her being with Quentin would have been a good plan. That's kind of like the perfect idea that she just kind of ignored because she wanted to stay in Marine. How would you have fixed season 7? I would have completely redone Arya, made her not so crazy. I would have made the Frey scene a little bit subtler and less cringy. I would have taken out the Brienne fight thing. I would have just kind of redid the time and made it make more sense. Like slow things down a little bit. I would have given it 10 episodes. I would eliminate the teleporting thing. If I had to do that scene where I definitely reworked that episode 6 scene. I definitely reworked that and make it so that it's Bran that sees what's happening and visits Daenerys like in a dream, or like projects his mind into her somehow, or visits her through the flame, or speaks in her mind or something and tells her what to do. Then that would kind of like eliminate the problem of them like having to do the ravens, because the Gendry running thing just made no sense. Let's see. I would alter the way they capture that one white. I would make that, because that was just not cool to me. That was just like pretty stupid. Oh, there's so much. There's so much. I guess I would send more of them than just the 6, because then it would make more sense that they all survived and that it was easier for them to fight the White Walkers. I'd give them all dragonglass. I'd make a point to say to the characters, oh, we should take dragonglass and we should all fight with dragonglass. And then, I would establish, but that's the thing, they only established this season that dragonglass kills the whites too. So, it would kind of it wouldn't fix that part, but it would still just be kind of out of nowhere. Let's see, I would, the Daenerys, see, I guess I would have started the Daenerys Jon Snow romance sooner if I could have. I don't know how I would have done that, but, I feel like 7 episodes was rushing it. I feel like 10 episodes would fix a lot of the problems. There's so much that I could have done. Like I said, I would make Arya not so crazy. I would give her some vulnerabilities, make her not so, just like superhero. I'd make Littlefinger smarter. Like, I'd probably have Littlefinger take off after the Chaos is the Ladder thing. Littlefinger would be out of there. There's so much that could be different. Like, everything. I change everything. I could go on and on and on and on and on about what I would change. But, we don't got to do that. Okay. Yeah, I agree. Bran could show her. He could be like, okay, this is what I see, and just fucking show her what he's seeing. This is the army of the fucking dead, I know, and even in, yeah, like for real though, why didn't like so much could be accomplished just by Bran, just being like, this is that, because he knows shit. He knows about Daenerys and all that. He's been seeing Daenerys. He's been seeing that dragon. He saw that dragon in a vision in like season 4, so he knows Daenerys. Come on. Is it true that George R. Martin said that the story about Dany and that the story is about Dany and Jon? Is that what you asked me? I don't remember. I don't remember George R. Martin ever saying that. The point of Quentin's story arc is to show what really happens when you up and try to ride a dragon. Not everybody wins. Exactly. Not everybody can be a dragon rider. This is not some. This is not just some, whatever. They're like, oh, I'm the, the prince. I'm just like the prince that nobody likes, and I'm ugly, but I can ride a dragon, and everyone's gonna love me, and I'm gonna go save everything. No, that's not what's gonna happen. You're gonna get roasted. You can't just fucking grab a vicious beast and think that it's just gonna love you and be your best friend. No, 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 no. Q&A, do you think Dany will find and hatch more dragons, or the dragons lay a clutch of eggs, and what we see what live eggs look like as described in the books and lore? Well, I'm not particularly convinced that dragon eggs can even die, because we got Dany's eggs, which are stone at first, but then by the end, she can feel the heat, she can feel the dragons moving inside of the eggs. So I'm not convinced that they can die. But yeah, Daenerys' dragons, like, I'm pretty sure that dragons are both male and female. I'm not entirely sure, but I think I've heard that said before, that they are both male and female. So I'm hoping that at least 2 of Daenerys' dragons live to mate, and that, we can get some eggs. I'm hoping that happens, but, don't count on it. Don't count on it. A director of season 7 said that George R. Martin basically said it was about Daenerys and Jon. Fuck that. That's stupid. I don't trust anything these fucking directors say. Will Dany burn down King's Landing? I think Cersei will be the one that burns down King's Landing with the wildfire. When she realizes that she has no chance of survival and that she has no chance of winning, she will say, let Daenerys be the queen over charred bones and cooked meat. And that'll happen. And then Jaime will come in, and he'll be like, what have you done, Cersei? You've burned everything. And he's like, you killed us all. And she's like, ha ha ha, Jaime. And then he's like, you fucking bitch. And then he just takes her and he fucking chokes her with his one arm. And she's like, wah. And then instead of struggling, she just lets it happen, because she's like, okay, this is it. This is the Valonqar. And she just accepts her fate. And then he strangles her, and he's strangling her as the wildfire flames cover the both of them. As the life goes from her, they both erupt in brilliant fire. King's Landing burns, Cersei burns, Jaime burns. That's how it happens. That's what I think. I think it'd be cool. I like the sight of Jaime strangling Cersei with one arm, as she just like how Melisandre when Stannis choked her in season 2, how she just kind of like lets herself go. That's what I imagine Cersei doing. She's just like, she's resigned to her fate, and Jaime's choking her, and the fires come up. That'd be cool. Be a cool scene. Be cool to see. Do you like Dany? Why do so many people find her so hateable? I think people find problems with her kind of Mary Sue-ish tendencies. But to me, I think she's a great character. I think she has a very interesting arc. And yeah, I very much like the character. And like I've said before, she is myth. She is the personification of myth. And I definitely dig the character a lot. Definitely one of the characters that I gravitated to initially when I first started reading this series. Is Jaime gay? I'm pretty sure he's not. It's natural to think there could be more beyond Quentin getting roasted by Dany's dragon. Well, I think Quentin is dead. I know people think he's alive, but I think Quentin he's definitely in that bed, and he's gone. He's gone. Will we find out more about what's beneath the seas? I need to know. We could see a kraken. I'm definitely looking forward to seeing a Kraken. I feel like that'll happen before the end of the show. I don't think we're gonna get any deep ones in the main series. I think if George R. R. Martin wants to write about that type of stuff, he'll do a spin-off maybe. I would love to see something like that, but I don't think we're gonna get any of that in the main series. But maybe a Kraken. That's what I'm looking forward to seeing. I have seen an interesting theory that Jaime and Cersei are actually Aerys' children. Well, I tend to buy that theory more so than the idea that they are the children of, than that Tyrion is Aegon's, and no, not Aegon, Aerys' son. I like the idea that it's Jaime and Cersei better than it's Tyrion, because I feel like with Jaime and Cersei, it makes a lot of sense because Targaryens flip a coin, one crazy, one's not. Cersei would be the crazy one. And then, you know, her obsession with fire and all that, so it's cool. And then it would also, what makes it even cooler is that would mean that both Jaime and Tyrion killed their own fathers. Jaime killed his father by stabbing him in the back, and Tyrion killed his father by shooting with the crossbow. So that'd be interesting to me. I would like that. So yeah, I'm more into that idea than the Tyrion Targaryen idea. LOL, Preston Jacobs is a scrub and Quentin is dead. Well, to each his own. Any idea about the identity of the Tattered Prince? Tattered Prince. Oh, God damn it, fucking piece of shit. God, fucking keyboard. The keyboard literally, fuck me. My keyboard stopped working, in 2 seconds. Jesus Christ. No, it didn't stop working. It's just... This shit went full screen and now won't get out of full screen. Now it's black. And now porn. Great. Shit. There's porn on the screen. Well, that's one for the books. That's one for the books. Anyways, Tattered Prince. Okay. Holy shit. Oh god. Oh god, that was great. That was fucking fantastic. That was the most wonderful thing that's ever happened. Tattered Prince, also known as Rags or Tatters. I can't even concentrate after that. Like, holy shit. So this is the Wikipedia page. Sad-eyed, soft-spoken, his hair is silver. Appearance to do with remove of tatters. Inconspicuous, Tywin Lannister in element. Tattered Prince is a huge grey war horse. Classic High Valyrian. Oh, yeah, he was one of the Magisters of Pentos. Okay. Yeah, I'm not fully sure. I'm not fully sure if I have any idea who the Tattered Prince guy is. Who is Ned Stark's mother? I can't remember it being mentioned. Well, actually, Ned Stark's mother is not mentioned. We have no idea. It's not in the family trees either. It's not in the family trees or anything. It's just a blank space. No one knows who Ned Stark's mother is. No one knows. Do you think Aegon, whether real or not, could sit the throne at the end, if there is one, as the champion and favorite of the small folk? I think Daenerys has this enormous sense that she has to rule. And I think that what is going on... I think that by the end, if she feels the need, she'll be reluctant to, but I think the way that it would work out best is if she did marry Aegon, because I think that he will have the support of the common people, and if she married him, it would be better. It would be the best way, out of it, I think. It would be the best way to just be like, okay, marry him, I get the throne too, and then we can go fight the White Walkers and do this. Who do you think Quaithe is, and why do you think she is interested in Daenerys? Well, I go through this in my video, Understanding the Birth of Dragons. I think Quaithe is from the shadow, and that she used Daenerys to hatch dragons, and that she was trying to hatch dragons for decades, and she finally succeeded with Daenerys. That's what I think happened. Jon is the real Fagon. See, that would be an interesting twist, I think. Jon being the real Fagon. Does the fact that Tyrion have one green eye Lannister and one purple eye Targaryen, and not gold and blonde like Cersei and Jaime, but more silverish, as described in the books, proof of A plus J equals T? So this Ares plus Joanna equals T. No, I don't think so. Like, I'm pretty firm on Tyrion being the son of Tywin. And if anything, Cersei and Jaime are Ares' children. Because I feel like it's way more ironic that way. It's way better. It's way more interesting to me, personally. That's the theory that I subscribe to. I could see it going either way. All right, guys, we're going to go a little bit longer. Been going for about an hour and a half. And next week, I'm going to have someone on, and then we can, you know, go a little bit longer. It's really fucking hot in here, too. Like, holy shit. You are no son of mine. See, yeah, that's why that line is much more ironic, in my opinion. You are no son of mine. Because if Tyrion is his son, it just makes, it's interesting because, you know, you're his only son. You're his only son. And that's why it's ironic, because you're rejecting the only son that's actually yours. What if in the end of A Song of Ice and Fire, the next king on the Iron Throne will be Aegon, aka Fagon? Well, I think it would be cool to see like an illegitimate ruler that doesn't belong on the throne. I think it'd be interesting, but I don't think the Iron Throne is going to be a thing at the end. Like, ultimately, I think the Iron Throne is going to be destroyed, and, you know, that's it. The Iron Throne's going to be gone. It's the wheel broken. The World of Ice and Fire revealed that Ned Stark's mother was Lyanna Stark, first cousin of Rickard. She was the daughter of Roderick the Wandering Wolf and Arya Flint. How did I miss this? I guess I just missed that. I'll go back and look at it. I also see Jenna's conversation with Jaime. So, guys, thank you guys for watching. We've been going for a little bit under an hour and a half, but it's time to get out of here. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Peace out. Make sure you like and subscribe if you're not already subscribed. Check out my Patreon. It'll be great. And got some Lovecraft stuff up there. Peace out, dudes. R plus L equals D. Do you even believe it? Well, maybe you'll find out. Maybe you'll find out one day. Do you think the Pact of Ice and Fire will come to be in the books? Well, yeah. Peace out, guys. See you later.